What's up, everybody? I'm BXM, aka Brand. This is episode 57 of the Anime Dojo. I'm alongside Chris and Deon this evening. Gentlemen, how you doing?
What's good?
Doing well, can't complain. We have a couple things to get through tonight. We have my thoughts on My Hero Academia, this next episode, kind of thinking where this is headed. I have a lot of thoughts about this. It's kind of interesting where the story is going to end up going. Then we're going to be talking about two big stories. One that's dealing with One Piece and Las Vegas, Nevada. We'll get into that, how they're going to do this thing they're about to do. The other is dealing with the Terminator, and they're going to add an anime series. And then I asked the guys to have their top 5 for the spring season so far, because we're about episode 6 for both these, for everything, about 6 or 7, depending on the show, maybe a little 8 right now for some shows. And then what we're going to do, talk about the charts, go through episodes for Slime, episode 55, and episode 6 for Kaiju number 8. So let's start this off with my thoughts about My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia, this past episode I watched was really interesting. I will say this, I like where it's headed. I do like where it's going. I don't think it's terrible or bad. I think the story they're about to go into is really cool. Basically, the cliff notes of this, I'm not going to go through the full episode. I'll just kind of give my cliff notes of this. Basically, we finally figure out who the traitor was in the school, which wasn't obvious. Kind of obvious, kind of not. They do a little tease of thinking of one. It's one character, not this character. Basically, we find out it's the guy with belly button power. We find out why he did it, or why he was a traitor, because his parents wanted him to have a quirk, even though he doesn't have one. The second big thing about this episode that we learn is that the invisible girl was listening to this whole conversation between the parents and him, and then Deku and his friends are like, where is he at? Because they cut away and they show the friends, everybody else in the school training and things, wondering where he's at. Deku wants to go find him. Then he hears the whole conversation between the parent and the kid, saying, why'd you do this? You're a hero. Why would you go through this problem? All this stuff. Ultimately, what it leads to, that he gets caught by the police. Also, the parents get caught. And they end up doing a thing where, well, he can't really help y'all now because he's going to jail. He's done all this. He's done this bad thing. But ultimately, what they end up doing is like, we can use him to our advantage. Why? Because he was in contact with One for All. And being in contact with One for All has gave him the ability, all that kind of stuff. I ultimately think it's a good twist. I just kind of think, it's a little weird that they do twist now. They did the twist now, and they go back and mention, here's the things you should be looking out for. Certain things where he didn't smile, or where he didn't really help Deku and all that kind of stuff. So there's context. Ultimately, at the end of this, they kind of think about that. They can use him as a way to get to All for One, which will probably backfire, ultimately. But also, the other thing is, we hear One for All talking about he had other plans in place if things went different ways. So he already knew what he was going to do. I'm going to start with Chris for this. Chris, I would openly give this episode like 7.5. I think it was good. I think it did a very good job. But there's still a little nagging thing here where they're taking it kind of too slow for me. Am I off base for this?
I think that you are maybe just a little bit off base because look, we all know like jobless and Slime and My Hero all have enough animes this season and upcoming to let their shows cook for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it isn't like My Hero isn't coming with the action.
No,
Now
they did come with the action.
Now, as far as their story goes, I feel like they have a crap ton to try to catch up with.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's like y'all can do better. Not unless you're just gonna give us that one episode that has all of the freaking answers. And honestly, it may be my personal opinion, but they're too old of a show to leave viewers with unanswered questions for too long. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay. Deon, have you caught up with My Hero Academia, or are you still trying to catch up with it? And if you watched any of season 7, what do you think about it? And with this episode, do you think I'm too far off base?
Well, I'll say this. In regards to what Chris was saying, My Hero has enough, I guess, tenure to be able to let a season cook a little bit and actually do some type of build up. And it's not, well, it is typical of them to do so. This season kind of started off with, for me, too many, oh, why did you do that type of moments. So I kind of wanted to hurry up and pick up a little bit more just because of that, but I'm not anticipating it too. Because, I mean, we're 7 seasons in, and we're just now finding out who this. By the way, if it had to be anybody, I'm so glad it's Skelly Button Boy.
Well,
Nice.
I mean, yeah.
Let's be real, he's one character we can lose. But you know,
I think the thing is, and y'all are both right. I might be a little bit off base, but I also think too. Here's the thing that I'm still going to go back to, and I'm using one of Deon's lines, and he said it multiple times. He said it multiple times in multiple shows we watched across this season, last season, even the prior seasons. This is where My Hero kind of falls when it had the 4 recap episodes. Doesn't really make sense. You needed them. I get why you did it to keep people back in the loop. Here's the other thing: the first 2 episodes of the season were kind of slow, really inconsequential because it connected to season 6. Technically, they should have been in season 6 if you really wanted to do that, or made them one episode and then kicked off with episode 3. Now learning about the mole thing here, I think ultimately kind of give you the fact that we are not going to get any real story progression until we get to like episode 7 or 8. And that's because I think the mole thing is going to really be a thing of like, okay, if they're going to try to figure out how they get him back in contact with All For One, if they can monitor all conversations, but All For One, like he said, he had a plan ahead of time. So he knows if these things change, he can go to something else. I also feel like this is the last season, technically, because we're getting the movie, which already aired in Japan, I think, which is going to air in America later down the road. But I think this is between 6 and 7, or 4 and 4 or 5 and 6. I forget where the movie ends up falling. I want to say, out of the things that are going along, Chris, ultimately, I think Slime's doing a better job with it. Jobless is doing a better job with it. They're doing a better job of keeping you engaged with storytelling when My Hero is not really at all. And I'm hesitant to add it to us to watching it because right now it's so not worth it to talk about. And I could be wrong, Chris. I hope I am, but I need to wait till we get to like 6 or 7 before I can say, oh, we can get into this.
And this is for which anime?
My Hero.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It needs to cook a little bit longer.
I think with 25 episodes.
Mm-hmm. I cheated and peeked at the manga. And it wasn't my daughter had read some stuff. She was so excited to tell me about it. I had to go and do a little research. And I will say, I'm excited for what's to come.
Yes. I have.
Because it's starting kind of like this, but I'm excited.
I've seen parts of the manga too, Deon, and yes, I do know what portion we're going about to get into, but it takes a bit to get there. And yeah, the back half of this season is probably going to be really insane. But it's just getting to that back half of the season because the back half is just fun, and they are just it's pure action at that point. But I think the setup they're doing is cool. I kind of wish you gave us the mole last season. partially gave us more last season because then that's
Now,
a
see,
whole
that would have been a cliffhanger. Ooh, it's a mole that you ate. And
yes,
Dean is one of the students.
correct.
Man, if they would have left that off as a cliffhanger.
Because I don't think we don't ever get an inclination of the mole anyway until like season 4. But then they drop that pretty quickly after we get the inclination of it, and it's like bringing it back up to here. You could have brought it back in season 6 and said, "Oh, here's this mole thing we've been leaving off for a long period of time. We're bringing it back up now." Okay, I will say this: at the point we're at now, I would rather put Demon Slayer where Slime sits because Slime's about to cook them. Slime's about to cook, but Slime can cook, and we can get to the end of that. That's gonna take a bit to get there. We know that's going for 21 episodes. I don't want to put Hero in this yet because I think Hero needs to go longer, and I'm ultimately don't want to really move Kaiju because Kaiju's actually been really fun. So wait, we will still talk. I'll still talk about both. I'll still talk about My Hero for a bit until it kind of cooks, and then once it cooks, we could add it. We'll just switch it out with Kaiju once Kaiju finishes, or we'll switch it out with Slime.
So we're going to be cooking now with Kaiju 8 and
Slime reincarnated.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, we're starting. They're starting that process, so it's like it feels weird. I think what they should have done with Hero is have Hero come out in the beginning of the year, beginning of the spring season, and then got to this point. By this point, you would have been at episode 7, and you probably would have had a better people keeping up with it. But I digress. But like I said, I rated it 7.5. I know that's probably not that's above average, but I don't think it's gonna get any. I think it'll get better. I just need to see more episodes.
I would give it a 6.8.
Okay. What would you give it, Deon, if you have watched it?
I'll give it a solid 5.6.
5.6? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I know what's to come, and I don't feel like they're leading it in either quick enough or well enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be surprised. It all wrap up perfectly to a pretty low pressure.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's get into this. And we've kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago. We kind of talked about what's going to happen with anime going mainstream and all this stuff. We'll talk about this first story, which deals with the Terminator. So, Terminator, it's called Terminator Solo. I think it's what its official title is. It is coming out in August 29th. I'm kind of interested to see where this ends up. Or Terminator Zero, sorry. Terminator Zero. It's a joint project between Skydance Animation and the production company IG Catch. Premiere on Netflix worldwide starting August 29th, 2024. Based on the screenshots and stuff I sent y'all in the chat, and based on the little thing about it, I'm kind of worried. Because
what is there to be worried? It looks like he might actually be kind of good.
It looks like it's going to be good. Here's the thing I'm worried about. Terminator is really iconic. The Terminator movies are really iconic. It's a franchise that's kind of built in infamy in the sense that Terminator 1, most people don't know this, the first movie is in the Library of Congress, which is, I heard that from a YouTuber that reviewed the movies and all that kind of stuff. If you've watched the Terminator and know what it is, you're going to understand this very well. If you never watched the Terminator and don't know what it is, you're not going to understand this very well. I like the idea. I think it's going to be good. I'm wondering if it's something, if this works out, do we see the stuff I've talked about before? Rick and Morty work out well. Other things work out well. So I'm going to start off with you, Deon. Deon, what do you think about this announcement where you're getting a Terminator Zero anime?
Now, y'all know, I'm not one for these big productions anime. Rick and Morty one, McDonald's, Toyota, I'm not one for it. But I will say, if I had to watch any of them, this would be the one. The Terminator storyline alone with the Matrix storyline, how they tie together with Skynet and all of that, it could be done so well. Like there's so much room for creativity, right? Scary part is to them that well when they do adaptations of things like this. Never see the creativity explored and basically blown to what it could be. Like X-Men. We had a quote unquote anime version of X-Men with the Wolverine comics. And it was basically the same thing you had in the American version. If you do this, please explode your brain and do some things that I couldn't see on a regular screen that Arnold Schwarzenegger couldn't do on the actual show. Like, utilize the fact that it's an anime and it can be good. I don't see things like that happening with Rick and Morty since it's already an animated series. But something like Terminator, you can make it so great.
Okay, I can see where you're going. You could take Terminator and actually do some really interesting visual stuff, explosions, animated things where you can do with the robot itself. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Chris, do you partially agree with Deon? That's one of the big things they could probably do with this, unlike their actual movies, where they could really make this more something different with a different storyline.
Okay, look, you really have to understand something because Deon really did say a whole mouthful. Because not too many people know that the Terminator series is the pre to the Matrix.
Uh-huh.
It was confirmed by the author.
Correct. You told me
So
about
with
that.
that, and then he even went furthermore, was talking about the anime series that were already based off American shows. The only one he didn't mention was Supernatural. I'm not sure if you saw that before, Dion, but that if they do,
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
that's a good example.
Exactly. That is a freaking awesome example. Because they have so much to go on, like think about it this way. They have more to go on than just a series of books. They have a completed storyline that other movie directors have already veered away from. And because the story itself involves time travel, that means you can make any variation you want to and it's still going to make sense. So they look, the movie is already a master level, cannot be redone type of movie. So the fact that they even want to do this, they know that if they don't hit it, they might actually turn people away from anime. That's how big it is.
Oh, you making a bold statement, my friend, when you saying if this don't work, it's gonna turn people away from anime.
Because you're taking a long-term franchise, a one that had everybody within the last 50 years have seen, multiple generations. You,
Okay.
this could make or break your studio.
I second
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I second. If you
Here's the
do something this big and you flop on it, like you're going to deter not only people from watching it, but people from creating it. It's gonna be bad on every level. You can mess up something like Harley Quinn. Not too many care about. There's so many
Another
depictions
cartoon.
of it. I should say, many care about it. But you mess up something iconic like this, yeah, yeah, it's a wrap on your studio for a while. You have to come back with something big, like get you Kaizen level big. Like
Like, oh,
I
Brandon, I'll give you another example.
okay.
Like, okay, we know that they did an animated version of Superman,
Yes, which was kind of not great.
but we know the only reason it passed was because WB had their hand in it.
Correct.
Now, can you imagine if WB never had their hand in it, how
Oh,
much worse that show would have been?
Oh, it'd have been terrible. It would have been not worth watching.
I rest my case.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and here's the thing. I agree with both of you, but I'm gonna make a counter for both of y'all. You say Terminator is one of the biggest franchises you can't ruin. I'll give you one better. If they ever did a Rocky movie, Rocky anime, that would be the other. But here's the thing: Rocky and Terminator are on the same level of as iconic. A lot of people probably haven't seen all the Rocky movies. A lot of people haven't seen all the Terminator movies, but you at least seen at least one of the movies in the series. I think the thing. Go ahead.
I have to say this because I currently just watched all of these shows. It would be dang near impossible for them to mess up a Rocky movie. Why? Because anime has too many animated fight scenes to mess that up. Not to mention, you have shows like Baki Hama and Kenshin and all that. Bro, see, at that point, if they were to make a Rocky movie and fail at that, that's like disrespecting their own culture.
And that's what I'm gonna bring up slightly, because I think the thing with making a Terminator movie, you're gonna, if it's not close to the source material or near the source material at all, a lot of people will turn off to it. Ultimately, I think the big thing with this is the fact that I don't need to be 1-to-1 to any of the movies or 1-to-1 to anything in the source material, but you can play with the time, like you said, the time travel. Like Deon said, you can play with the fact that you can animate things so you can have bigger explosions, bigger crazy things. So you can do a lot of that stuff pretty easily. It's a scary proposition when you have a relative new studio, which I've never heard of, and a production company, which I've never heard of, to a adaptation of a very iconic franchise. I'm actually kind of shocked that people who made the Terminator movies aren't gonna help them. There's something indicating they aren't, but if they are, that's the way this might work out better. So you at least have something to go back on.
They can easily source to any of the movies. Easily.
They can.
They don't need the directors there, I think.
They don't need them. They can source the movies. I also wonder, this is coming out the 29th. It's Netflix original. It's a Netflix thing. If the first couple episodes are kind of lackluster, it's gonna fall off a cliff. But if the back half of it is amazing, then people are like, okay, the first couple episodes were slow, but they built a story, cool. The back half is just a bunch of fights, amazing. I'm down. It's gonna blending of like, do you want a bunch of action or do you want a bunch of story? Most of the Terminator movies are a bunch of action. I don't know. I'm wondering how much of that gonna change in the next. This is the ultimate, like, what's gonna happen next. On a scale of 1 to 10,
I'm a little worried.
Why?
I feel like if they did something, like let's say they didn't create Terminator, but they created an anime called Skynet. That would set the premise for doing everything creative. But because they're doing Terminator, I feel like they're going to try to recreate Terminator.
And
I just had that thought. I don't.
And that's
not going to be a good thing at all.
And that's one of the problems I have, because you can't recreate Schwarzenegger's character.
If they do a 1-to-1, then it would suck.
Yes, you can't do a 1-to-1 recreation. You have to make an original story, but using the Terminator's name. So you can do the thing where it's John Connor's son. You can do the thing where it's another Terminator that's born in the same era. You could do.
You know what?
anything
They
else.
need to bridge the gap between Terminator and the Matrix. Now that is something they should do.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
Now that would be the it.
This
That would be
could
the
be
end. All.
post-war.
Yes.
Yes.
This
That
is
would be
literally just the Earth post the cybernetics win. And
Yeah.
you got my brain going now, Chris.
Right, which is fair.
Full scorched earth Terminator with like a rebel squad of humans that's trying to survive till the beginning of the.
And then this is when you see the original creators like Morpheus and stuff, and why they're needed and they're created in
before they learn how to plug themselves in,
or plug people out and find Neo.
Yep. Okay.
What?
Right. I actually would be down for that. I would actually be down for that.
Walking up, finding warehouses full of people plugged into machines.
Or having humans as a battery on the back of a robot.
Okay.
Man.
All right.
Yeah.
We own the rights to everything we just said. Just noted. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you can send me a fat check and be able.
All right.
Give me
Before we get to the next topic, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll start with Deon for this. How hyped are you for this? Because if you're a Terminator fan, you're pretty hyped. So how hyped are you for a Terminator Zero anime, Deon?
See, I am a huge nostalgia Terminator fan. Like the original Terminators. The newer ones, they're all right? So if you give me something based off of the originals or off of Matrix or Creative, then I'm ecstatic. Let's go. But if this trailer comes out and it's BS, I'm sending a super angry letter to the studios. And it's not even worth time to watch.
Okay.
So I guess I'll say this because that was kind of a wrapped around the answer. I'm excited until the trailer.
Okay. Speaking of a trailer, you brought it up. This is supposed to come out August 29th. When do you think we get that trailer?
August 27th.
So 2 days before, basically.
Big release, big publicity stunt, August 27th.
Okay. All right.
Bam, Terminator.
All right.
Live stream first episode.
I could actually see that. I could see that last part happening. Absolutely. They could absolutely do that for Netflix if they wanted to.
It's either going to be super big or it's going to get swept under the rug.
Yeah, one of the two. Chris, what is your hype levels for the Terminator anime? And when do you think we get that really first trailer? Well, I'll say maybe first trailer, but only trailer as well for the anime. Do you agree with Deon on that? Maybe like 2 days before.
Well, before I give my answer, I have a question for both of you.
Okay.
Do y'all remember the TV series Terminator?
Yes, kind
of.
of.
On like one of the cable networks, right? Like CW or something like that.
No, it was on Fox.
It was on Fox. It was
Fox. It's one of the cable networks.
Yeah, cable. He's right.
Yeah.
It's one of the proper like cable networks. But yeah, it was a long time ago though.
Yeah. But y'all do remember it though.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Was it good or bad? Answer me that before, and I'll tell you what am I.
It was extremely mid.
It was okay.
And I hate that terminology, but it fits so perfectly for that.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was extremely mid.
It was kind of in the middle.
I don't know if their budget was big enough to shoot that high.
And that's why I am so neutral on this show. Because like I can't say every movie was good, but I can't say every movie was bad. I kind of like the TV series, and it's like I actually watched all of them, so I can't say that I can't say I'm not a fan of it. I've seen it all, so I'm sitting neutral on this. I'm getting it the same skepticisms as I'm getting Harley Quinn and all of them. And as
No,
far as when
I'm giving it bigger props than Harley Quinn.
maybe so, but I mean, I don't expect it to be good or bad until I actually start
That's
watching.
true. That's true. I give you that because, like I said, you're giving it more credit than I am because you're at least gonna give it a chance to start watching it. If that trailer is bad, it is going on a shelf, and I'm not watching it until maybe the first season ends, and then I'll try to binge it and see if it's worthy.
And then that's really what it is. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that trailer could sway me either way. And I think it'll come out since it's on Netflix. I think it'll be out. Shoot, probably late June, early July.
See, my problem with Netflix is they have an issue with releasing good content promotion.
Yes.
Like you'll just be
They don't do
scrolling through
promotion very
Netflix
well.
and you'll see it pop up. Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
They did this show.
They don't do promotion very well when it comes to stuff. I think they did okay
They
promotion for
don't.
the One Piece live action. They did the okay promotion for
But
that.
that's how you know when a show is going when Netflix thinks a show is going to be great, you'll see them advertise for it. You really will. But if it's going to be mid, they have a trailer on their app.
Yeah.
And if you look for it on YouTube, you'll find it. But that's it.
Yeah.
They advertised Death Note very well
And they
because it
thought
was
it was
their
going
first
to do really
one.
well. And they thought it was going to do really
And it
well.
did do well because everybody wanted to give it a chance.
Yep.
But oh my god, let's not have another Death Note.
I think the thing is with this, and y'all are both ain't wrong. And I'm gonna ask people in the comments, give me your thoughts about this. Give your thoughts about this. I think the thing is with this, there's twofold. One, the show level is for the hype. The hype for the show for me is about where Chris is. I need to see the first trailer for it. But two, I think the big thing, and I think it's something Deon brought up and Chris has brought up. If you like Deon said, if you watch the first couple episodes and they're kind of like, if the first episode is kind of like, I'll wait till it finishes, then I'll watch it. But the thing is, and the thing Chris brought up the most, which I thought about after, when we were talking about it, Harley Quinn. The Harley Quinn Isekai is so weird right now because they've done so much promotion for it, and I've seen so many things about it. We just got the announcement for Joker and Harley Quinn Isekai. We're not really talking about it because it's not a really big news because the Joker character looks amazing. But I think that's the other thing about it. You have to push this marketing tenfold. If you're going to think it's going to do well, give us a couple different trailers. Give us a couple different like they gave a screenshot here in the Otaku News article. Give us stuff that's going to make us want to watch it. That is the one thing that the Suicide Squad Isekai is doing. It's making us want to watch it because they're showing us Harley Quinn. They're showing us the Joker. They've showed us a couple trailers. The only other thing I hope for you do, because it's American made, which is kind of funny, it's American produced, or it's American, the movies are American produced. I think it needs to be in English. I do think it needs to be in English for Terminator. It's Terminator. And the other thing I hope,
at least dubbed release same day.
Yes, at least dubbed the same day. And the other thing I hope is that we get a proper, and I'm not going to say it's going to be possible, MA rating for it. Somewhat. I know there are rules for that, so
if it doesn't have an MA rating, it's already losing points.
I think you will get at least a 14 off the bat. Off the bat, it just depends on how much they want to go.
Nah, bro, because Terminator was the real ish. We ain't worried about that. And then on top of that, this show was pretty bloody. So
yeah, oh yeah, it was. I don't know.
What you about to say, Deon?
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say the actual Terminator though was only R, so
Yeah.
and it was released in 1984, and it was
Correct.
rated R.
Correct.
So that means that if it was released now, it probably would be like TV-14.
It's gonna be a TV-14 rating because I don't think they're gonna go to full R unless the full mature. I don't say full R, full mature rating, unless they're really gonna push the boundaries of what they can do with it.
Now,
Which they
unless
could.
they start showing body parts,
Correct.
they can go either
Well,
way.
I only say
Decapitated
that
limbs.
too though because, well, I'll agree with you, B-Mac, because every movie, each release went down a rating.
Yes, it did. It did.
So it started at like rating R, and the last one I think was PG or PG-13. I'm sorry.
Right. Correct.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I just had to look that up real quick. That's horrible.
No, you're good. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let's get to our other big news story, and then we'll get into charts and our top fives for the spring season. This other news story is kind of insane, and if this happens, you set a precedent where I don't know what you can come back from. So, One Piece is gonna be on the Vegas Sphere, which is the building in the Vegas Strip. They're gonna be showing episodes on it from June 6th to June 16th. It's like 10 days straight. Here's the official thing about talking about this. So, was that right? To celebrate the 25th anniversary of One Piece anime, the Straw Hat Pirates will be featured on a giant display of the Sphere in Vegas from July 10th or June 10th to June 16th, so 6 days. Fans can witness the larger than life presentation of the favorite anime series in a spectacular way. It'll be the largest display displayed on in history. Chris, I'll start with you for this. What do you think about this? Because if this works out, then you're going to have some major things might be changing with how the world sees anime. Because if this does as well, I think you could have one day have Demon Slayer on this. You could have something like My Hero, the end of My Hero on the Sphere. What's the possibilities with this?
My only thing is that we don't have one in Dallas, so it's like, yeah.
No, we don't.
But I am happy to see that anime has made it across to the U.S. in such a way that they feel that it's profitable for them to show, One Piece on 6 days on the world's biggest screen. So, yeah.
Deon, what do you think about this whole situation with One Piece?
I mean, I hate to say it's typical, but I expect it. I mean, it's the longest anime, it's the biggest anime. Like, if anybody was going to be there, it's One Piece, especially after the thing with Tokyo, with the Red release and Times Square. I mean, how do you top your top without going bigger? Like, their releases have always been big, especially movie releases.
Mm-hmm.
So they are just trying to ride this One Piece train.
They trying to make their money off of it.
It'll be a big cash grab. Yeah, big cash grab. And I'm not mad at it. The only thing I'm mad about is not. But I'm gonna say this: I wouldn't care as an actual anime fan to see it on this giant screen, and I could probably barely even listen and watch on. But it's good to see it being publicized.
Yes, there's a few things I was kind of, and you brought up one of them. It's a slight cash grab. I don't think it's a full cash grab. And I told Chris when we talked about it, I told him about it yesterday, and he saw it too in that news. Who paying who in this? Who paying who? Because is the creators of One Piece paying the Spear, or is it the other way around? Because ultimately,
that is the question.
like literally, to get One Piece shown on something like that, you probably would have to pay One Piece a lot of money. The people who made One Piece a lot of money, but also to use Spear, which is one of the biggest attractions in Las Vegas, you're probably paying them a good chunk of change yourself to show it on that. Like,
I think it's more of a you scratch my back, I scratch yours type situation.
Okay.
You air One Piece. One Piece gets a lot of credibility and a lot of publicity. And Vegas gets a lot of tourists. A lot of people coming just to see One Piece. There's probably going to be some small conventions, a lot of merchandise sold.
Told you.
Gambling.
Ain't that what I
There's going to
said?
be some One Piece themed stuff going on.
Chris,
everybody wins in this situation.
Chris, I hate to say it, you called it. That's kind of bad. You called that.
Deon, we had a standing bet that I was gonna guess what you was gonna say, and I won. Just so you know.
You called that.
Y'all seem to do that a lot.
We don't do that. We don't do that often. I'm
about to say I do, Deon. I do it between between me and you with Brandon too. So
I love it. It's awesome. I love it, man. I just wonder if I ever disappoint.
No, you don't. But it's funny because you're not wrong. You ain't wrong. But here's the thing. I'm like, it's scary to say that we're eventually gonna get to a point. I could literally be walking in LA one day, and I'm randomly walking down the street, and I could just see One Piece playing on a screen. Where I could literally be walking in parts of, just like it feels like eventually you're gonna try to push anime down people's throats. But if you're not, like you say, if you're an anime fan, you don't really care. But if you're somebody who doesn't really know much about it, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Wait, this series is iconic.
Well, I'll say this. I wouldn't say I wouldn't care. I just wouldn't be like, oh, this is the only way I'm gonna watch it. This is awesome. Like, Correct. It's awesome. So I'll go and be part of the festivities because it's gonna be very anime heavy. Mm-hmm. But then I'm gonna go home and actually watch it and pay attention.
Correct.
Now, if I had the money and I just wanted to be over top, because they're gonna be playing part of the episode outside the Spear, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would have me a helicopter and just sit up there and watch it.
just floating above Vegas and watching it. All right, that's fair.
Now who else can do that?
That's fair. I mean, it's funny to me because I don't really think it's gonna be one of those things where, like, would I ever just get a plane ticket and go out there for like one day? Yeah, I would. But ultimately, there's other things to do in Vegas, so I wouldn't feel like a bad thing. What if I go on vacation and it's just randomly happening while I'm in Vegas? Okay, cool. I get to see something that's probably iconic. Won't happen again.
Oh, Brandon, if they had an anime convention during that time, bro, come on now.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Oh, they're gonna have one.
They're gonna have something.
They're gonna have one.
They're gonna. You wouldn't do this like the way you're doing it for 4 straight days if there wasn't a convention out there. Because I don't think I remember I don't remember looking at anything coming up convention wise based online, but there probably is one going on somewhere in that time period. So that's not.
Can you imagine how many cosplayers are gonna be out there?
Oh man, you get into a wheelhouse of things where people are gonna be so confused. That's the other problem. And the other thing,
Could you imagine being a civilian that's not into anime and just wanted to go to Vegas that weekend?
And just what? Yeah, no, absolutely not. I don't know. It was an interesting story because it just seems like nowadays there's nothing really out of the realm of possibility for anime. There's nothing really out of the realm of possibility for just mainstream media. And I'm actually surprised this isn't getting a lot more traction than it is, but also probably getting more traction in Vegas than anywhere else. We'll see what the next couple of years bring, because if one day we get like the Mugen Train movie, next Demon Slayer movie, or one of the 4 episodes come out on that spear, then I really think they're just doing it for the clout at that point. But ultimately, it's good for both sides.
I wouldn't lie. Like if the first episode of Demon Slayer is gonna be on that screen next year for the next season, I would probably go and do it then.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely find a way to get out there if I thought about it. Yeah,
I think something this big though, you've got to have a lot of skin in the game. And I know Demon Slayer is great, love it, but there's nothing else like One Piece.
The only thing
nothing else, and that's just like the extent that One Piece has, the growth it's had, and the reach it has.
The only thing that could rival One Piece, if you could do it, would be Dragon Ball Z.
I was just about to say that.
Would be the exception to that rule. Dragon Ball could probably get away with it, but ultimately that's it. That's the only other thing that probably get away with it. And the only
unfortunately, I hate to say it like this, but now we're even done with that.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. The only thing that just finished, I think, would have even rivaled it would have been like Attack on Titan would probably got close to that level. If Attack on Titan was still going on, maybe could have done it. Those are the two that probably would have had enough clout to do it. But
now the only reason Attack on Titan would have been great because, well, I mean, the world's largest screen can show a full size Titan.
Yes, and a fight scene that looks kind of insane.
And you got your group, I guess I don't know what they're calling them now, but your Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, and My Hero Academia. They're big enough. They just don't have enough credibility behind them yet.
Yeah, the credibility not behind them yet.
For these big wigs, because for civilians, but for these big wigs to want to put a bunch of money behind them like this, you need to be, you have your big boy pants on.
Those big wigs, they want to see a return.
Correct. They want to see return on investment, and is that investment going to be worth it?
Yeah.
So for this, I want to know what y'all thinking, because this is actually a really interesting thing, and I want to see if they're going to show if somebody's going to put videos on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or whatever when this actually happens, see what it actually looks like. I'll be very interested. You never know. Maybe it actually might have sound to it too. The building could pump out sound from the screen itself. Hey. But let's get into this. Let's get into the charts, and then once we do the charts, we'll get into our top 5 for the spring season. So I'm gonna do the anime corner charts. These charts are actually pretty interesting, and I have to give them credit because some of these things on this chart are crazy. This is week 6. There's only the top 10. They didn't have the other one for the rest of the list. I couldn't find it because they didn't link it this time around. But for week 6, May 10th through May 17th, we have Konosuba at 1, went up 2 spots. Dead or Alive 5 dropped a spot. Jobless went down a spot at 3. Windbreaker stayed at 4. Go-Go Loser Ranger stayed at 5. Demon Slayer, the Hashira training arc, went to 6, stayed at 6. Delicious Dungeon went up a spot to 7. 7 arc, the arc Dilemma dropped a spot to 8. My Hero went up 4 spots, and Chilling in Another World is at 10 and went up 5 spots. I'm gonna start off with Deon for this. Deon, what do you think about this top 10 list? What's your kind of overall thinking?
Man, I'm just so happy that Chilling in Another World got some respect on this chart. Like, that's awesome. That's one of my big ones for this season, and I'm so glad it's getting the respect it deserves right now. The other big thing is Demon Slayer. It came in pretty mid on this chart, but it still hit top 10 first episode.
I think because for that one, Demon Slayer had it's a long 45-minute episode, if I remember correctly. It's the 45 minutes that we saw in the movies. But the only reason I think it's hit mid here is because it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of talking. It's a lot of recapping things from previous season 2. The only new stuff's at the end,
See,
which
my
go ahead.
go ahead. Oh,
I
I
was
was
gonna
just
say,
saying my surprise comes from the fact that it's even on this chart.
yeah, you're right. I know why Chris is laughing. By the way, accidental. We did that accidentally. um, yeah, I think it probably would if it's only because the fan base is big enough for Demon Slayer, so that's why it's hit top 10.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
also feel like Hero got redemption a little bit because it was at like 15 from last chart. Now it's at 9, or it was at 14, went up to 9, so it gained 4 spots.
I feel like those are pity votes, though.
Yeah. Chris, what you? yeah. Chris, what do you think about this top 10 chart for
I
anime
hate to
corner?
say it like that.
Well, you're not wrong.
So, bro, this chart and everything. So I'm starting to notice patterns. There are shows that are not leaving there, and then so that shows you that shows are starting to be concrete. Now I'm kind of with Deon. Chilling in Another World is kind of throwed as an anime. Honestly, yeah, it's actually doing pretty good. I like that show. Now I'm surprised to see the Archdemon's Dilemma is up there because it to me it comes across as a regular old oh man, just go ahead and get married already type of anime.
Yeah,
And now
slice of life, romance stuff.
it's like okay. If, if y'all had to have some lovey
But
dovey on it, then okay. Other than that, yeah, everything else on this list out is fire. It's A1.
I will say this.
can I make one point? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go right ahead.
I just want to say this is the first one I'm seeing with like very minimum female-led, romance-based, like super
There,
dramatic.
there you say. There you go.
This is a good,
Well,
a
okay.
good list.
Well,
I may not agree with all of them on there, but this is cool.
So here's why. Konosuba's main lead's a guy who's just funny. You have Tensei, which is Rudy. Windbreaker, which is our main character, who's actually just like a tough dude, but also doesn't know what he's doing in his new clan he's in. Gogulu the Ranger, our main character, is a villain, but he's actually the good guy. The fact of the matter is, with Demon Slayer, Tanjiro, the boys, that's kind of surprising. I think Delicious in Dungeon is a good guy, a guy lead. I don't know about Dilemma. Yep. My Hero is a guy lead because that's
Dilemma is also guy led.
So that's Deku, and I'm guessing Deon. You can say that for Chilling Another World, the guy led one too. Surprising, not surprising.
Completely.
Like
the typical guy led too, with the harem and everything.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing about this. You can tell a lot of the romance or slice of life ones aren't doing as strongly. And I'm gonna put this out here right now, and I'm gonna say this with all due respect to the show. It's weird to say that what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna say it. I'm actually getting a little annoyed of only 2 shows. There are 2 shows that get kind of annoyed with. And it's the 2 shows that I'm thinking we've been watching a lot of. This is gonna sound so weird to me. I think Train to the End of the World should be up here because it deserves that spot. I think it deserves a top 10 spot because of the way it's done. This last episode of Train to the End of the World was amazing. But also, I think the one that's the one that's more annoying, and the one I think I would have to give a nod to, and it's going to sound crazy, is Vampire Dormitories.
Oh.
And okay, let me explain. Please explain. I'm gonna sound crazy. Like I said, I sound crazy when I just said that.
You got a lot of explaining to do there, mister.
You said Chilling in Another World is a harem. Here's the funny part. I think Vampire Dormitories is also a reverse harem. Here's the weird thing about it. I think the storytelling is well done enough. Ultimately, me and Chris do have gripes. Characterization of these characters are kind of weird because the guys act like they're just not great.
Oh, I got gripes.
They don't
I got gripes.
they don't act like they don't act like
so uncomfortable watching this shit.
well that's the reason that's why. That's why. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I have to say, I have to give the storytelling credit. Because at least if you're doing the Twilight thing, you're at least doing it on a different level. The one thing I've read a couple of the Twilight books, so I won't say this with all certainty either. I didn't like Twilight that much anyway because it got kind of repetitive and boring. This with Vampire Dormitories, it doesn't get repetitive and boring, but it does give you kind of like, oh, y'all are losing clues. But most romance anime or even those type of dramas, you see the clues around you, but the characters don't, and that's the point. I have to give them credit. At least they're trying to make.
Let me ask you this, B-Mac.
Okay.
Are you okay with the 2-second flashbacks every 2 seconds of something that happened 2 seconds ago?
No, I think that's bad. I do think that's bad. I do think that's terrible. Like, there's small things. I think that's terrible. I think the fact that multiple times throughout certain episodes where you see the characters pick our main lady up or do things and wear what she's wearing, it's just kind of like,
you mean our main guy lady?
She's like, y'all know she's yet okay, fair, fine. But they have set up the fact in the beginning, which I let it out of my brain when we first watched it, but if I'm going to think back to it, they do say because I watched, people have read the manga or people have talked about the manga and the anime, and then looking at the anime, they do say at the beginning she dressed as a boy to get work. So ultimately, there's a reason behind what she's doing. Ultimately, if that's one of the few where I'll be like, okay, you can have a top 15 spot. I think it's worth a top 15 spot. The other one,
I think it's such a stretch in this genre that
it's a stretch. It is a stretch, but it's funny.
Like, I'd rather it just be a boy at this point.
It's funny because I'm going to say this with all respect too. Think about something. What's the other stretch in this genre? And it's a stretch we don't get to talk about very much. Jobless. Jobless is a very huge stretch. Only because Jobless is more catered to guys, not ladies.
I told you how I feel about Jobless.
The Jobless story is more catered to guys and not ladies. That's the point. And that's the weird thing. This Vampire Dormitories is more catered to ladies and not dudes.
Okay, Deon. Firstly, did I tell you anything false about Vampire Dormitories?
Man, you didn't prepare me enough for it.
You can't prepare somebody enough for that. You can't prepare somebody for that.
Okay.
I'll put it on. This is a disclaimer. Don't do this, ladies and gentlemen. I put it on while I was driving today.
Oh.
And I had to pull over for a second.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Because if you the content, like reading the subtitles and watching the content doesn't help. You need to both at the same time.
Well, I watch my dub. I can watch my dub. That's why I like dub. Because I can do that, and if I see something interesting, all right, cool, but I can listen to it, and then I can go back and actually pay attention if I feel like it's worth it. But animated, I'm just getting put on to or something. I watch 1 or 2 episodes while I'm cooking or driving or listen to 1 or 2 episodes, kind of like people do podcasts. But I had to stop because I needed to see what I was hearing.
Yeah. I will say, too, that dialogue is supposed to be cheesy. It is supposed to be very cheesy. It's supposed to be...
Oh, it's so cheesy.
But that's what the point... It reminds me of a good example of this, too. It reminds me of something like a Friends, How I Met Your Mother. It has that really cheesy dialogue that has no bearing on anything outside of a few sentences here or there. Or even like a Big Bang Theory is a good example of that, too, where the dialogue on it...
The only thing I don't like about this anime, everything else I can deal with.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I don't like about this anime is the main character itself.
Yeah.
Herself. Whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not the fact that she's a girl pretending to be a guy. It's literally her or him persona of like this bashful person, and then I don't know. It's just so confusing to try to attach to her as a main character. I don't know if you are supposed to like her or not like her, or want everybody to know her secret immediately, or if I'm supposed to be rooting for her.
That is very true. You don't have the ability, like, do you root for her? Do you not root for her? What's going on? I'm
also like, how does nobody notice? Like,
yeah, there's a lot of that in the show because, like, literally after you pick her, like a couple of the two guys that have been interacting with the most pick her up a couple times, look at her kind of weird. One walks in there while she's
Okay,
picking up.
how about we leave vampire dormitories alone? Because I already don't like the show.
Okay, I'll say this. I just brought it up because I do think it deserves a spot on here because I think the female-led character is actually interesting, and the rest of the cast is interesting.
Well, let me
Bro,
ask you
she
this,
is
B-Mac. What would it
always.
replace?
I mean, yeah. I think the downside with this chart compared to last year, there's too many male leads that are taking the forefront, and all of them aren't really that exciting in the sense that, like, Chandra is okay. Chandra's good as a character, but he's better when everybody's also around him. His characterization is basically he's like going to be the hero anyway. Konosuba character is funny. I'm just bringing up the fact, like, the only other there's a female side character for Konosuba, which is Aqua, and Aqua plays that role very well. The rest of the girls play that well, so they kind of help our main character out for Konosuba.
Yeah, so we have a typical harem at the start and finish of this chart, and every last one is a guy lead. I'm loving it.
Correct.
Only because every last one last season was all season.
Yeah, it was female lead. Well,
I
we're about to get
so sexist right now.
Well, no, I mean, but see, it's funny. What do you expect from anime? Anime is trying to do it better than most movies do it. They want to get the female leads out there because they're interesting and they want to try to get them better. But the male leads are usually the ones that get a lot more clout because they're more stronger character development, stronger characterization, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, these are just better anime, though. And don't get me wrong, we could replace a couple of these with a couple of different anime.
Yeah.
These are all just decently written anime.
There.
But no one can argue with that.
No.
Even Data Live. And I don't like Data Live a lot, like 100%. But it's still decently written for what it is.
Correct.
Even Jobless. I really don't like Jobless this season, but it's still decently written for what it is. Like, it's hard to replace stuff.
So
the loser Ranger can go, but it's
before we get into the episode for Slime, I'm gonna give you my quick top 5 and I'll ask the guys for theirs. So I had Train to the End of the World, Kaiju number 8, Slime, Go Loser Ranger, and God's Game We Play. That's my top 5 for the season. I give Train to the End of the World a nod because I think that's just gonna be an interesting story how they're gonna get to the ending of that. But based on this past episode we watched too, the story has a good, like, it has the Devil May Cry thing from the old Devil May Cry anime where each episode's different, but each episode has a goal to it, and that goal is there. Kaiju number 8 is building up, so I think Kaiju is going to get there. Slime has been getting there. Go Little Ranger, I think I like Go Little Ranger, but I think there's still things I want to know about down the road. And then God's Game We Play is also getting there, but I think it's a slower burn. But I think the slower burn is actually helping it out. So I'm gonna ask from Chris first. Chris, what was your top 5 for the spring season so far?
So I have Jobless at number 1, Kaiju 8 at number 2, Go Loser Ranger at 3, Demon Slayer currently and 5 Windbreaker. Don't argue with me. Argue with somebody else.
I can give you all those.
I'm gonna hold my tongue.
I'll give you all those. The only one I didn't put Windbreaker up here because I think
Nah, bro, the last 2 episodes of Windbreaker win. Damn.
the last two.
Nope.
That's like my 6. Here's the thing. I think I want to see how they're going to end. Since we had 2 fights the last 2 episodes, I want to see what they do after the fights. What storytelling you're telling us after the fights. That's going to be the big thing for Windbreaker. And ultimately, you got the same 2. You had 2 fights in God's Game of Play. Basically, they had 2 trials. One before they went actually into the trial, and one at the trial. And we're about to get another trial at the next episode. So I want to see what you do after you had a bunch of things before that. But that would be like my honorable mention. That'd be my 6, basically. The rest of your list makes sense. I'm actually kind of surprised you don't have Train anywhere in there, but I'm mixing Train with it.
Train is my number 7.
7. Okay, that's fair.
Because number 6 is the Archduke Kid, the aristocrat with the Bro, those last 2 episodes were hard to watch.
Okay. So Deon, what was your top 5 for the season so far?
So I'll give you mine, but they're not in any particular order because based off the episodes, they can change.
Yep.
But,
yep.
Moonlit Fantasy, right? Konosuba, Windbreaker, Filling in Another World. What was my last one? What was it? Oh, Seventh Prince. I was reincarnated as the Seventh Prince.
Okay. I've heard Seventh Prince is good. I've seen a couple things about Seventh Prince. That Chilling in Another World's pretty decent. I've seen people talk about that. Both of you had Windbreaker. I would have had Windbreaker higher. I would have, but I also like. I think I just need to see more from it. I think, like I said, it's a better kind of. It's a better Butchigiri. So I guess that nod for me of like it being my top 10 automatically. Before we get to my top 5, I just want to see how it progresses. Yeah, your list is not surprising. A lot of your list has isekais in it, isn't it? Basically, Deon.
Surprisingly, huh? No,
A lot of yours have isekais.
I think a couple of mine were isekais.
Isekais.
Moonlit, Chilling in the World. Yeah, they're all isekais.
I would put like Konosuba. Konosuba would be my like 7th, just because like I think Konosuba's story is interesting. It's fun.
We need to, but the only reason that I didn't put Konosuba on my list is because I haven't watched the new season yet.
Yeah,
I've only seen the first. Yeah, so I
3
can't
episodes.
give you.
Yeah.
Konosuba is like my comic relief. That's like I put that on before I go to bed, so I can go to sleep without nightmares. Like it's my peace.
It's a better comic relief than MASH. That's the sad part.
Oh, definitely.
Better comic relief than MASH. So it's like there, yeah, it's easy. It's an easy watch. I want to see our list once after this season's over because I don't reason I put Demon Slayer on this list. Demon Slayer would be like 8, and then like Hero would be 9. I need to see more of those. And we already kind of know Demon Slayer doing the thing I think they're gonna do. They're gonna do more characterization. They're gonna show us the other Hashira and talk about them. So if they do that, I'll be cool with that.
I can't throw Demon Slayer in until I can actually watch Demon Slayer. I'm watching the movie again, basically.
Yes.
So I need to actually get into the show, and then we'll talk then. But after that, I'm sure it's gonna be amazing.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised though none of you guys have Remonster on your list.
Here's the reason I don't have Remonster.
Specifically, Chris.
Only reason
here's the reason why I don't. Go ahead, Brandon.
Like Remonster to me, I enjoy it. I think it's interesting, but I think also it's doing a thing I don't really like. They're doing a day by day thing, which is kind of hard when you're just cutting a bunch between days. Like, so you do day by day by day. We're only seeing certain things from those days, and it kind of skirts that line of being a little too adult at times. It's but they don't go past it. They stay right at the line enough. So it's like I get why, but it's like you're doing too much at points for me sometimes.
And my problems with it, my problems with it are basically kind of like what Brandon is saying. Like the day by day thing gets really old really quick, and then you because you waste time with those, you have no in depth story at all. This dude is really just living his life day by day with just living. Like, wow, okay. And then it's hard for me to say that it's better than any of these other shows. So yeah.
Like ultimately, if you told me, and it's weird to say this, I would rather put Fable ahead of Free Monster. I'd rather put Michigan Yokohama Family ahead of Free Monster. And Michigan Yokohama Family at least has a decent story, and ultimately it's more fun what they're doing with that. I think doing the day by day isekai is so weird to me. Because you could do it week by week, month by month, whatever you want to do. A day by day thing is really kind of odd. And then random days he does a couple things, and then beautiful ladies just wants to do it with him. Like what? Like it doesn't really make sense half the time. It's kind of like, okay, things just happen.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's not on my list either. So
yeah,
I get it. I was just curious. I mean, but for a lot of the same reasons, I do really like strong characters though.
Oh, this dude is overpowered.
Is a strong character in the middle of no story going nowhere. Like
the dude's overpowered. He can.
I would put him in a video game.
Yeah, you could take out a whole army by himself.
Like Rimuru or something like that. But
like he's okay, but not like he's not great. He's just there. I will agree with Chris. I will say with something Chris though, because me and Chris talked about the fact that he went towards the old man goblin's gonna have what's gonna happen to him. I say he doesn't change. Chris thinks he will change eventually, but I think the way they keep the old man goblin, he's being the comic relief for everything, and yet he's the most weird. But I think he's also the most smart. So he understands what's going on, but he also is like, I just want action. I don't care. Like it's funny because I'm like, do I need the creepy uncle kind of like vibe? No, but it works.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
keeping it
lighthearted.
So with all the stuff that's going on, all the changes and everything, I think he's keeping the viewer realizing you're watching the bad guy. You're watching goblins. You know, like as much as we try to humanize everybody else, I want you to keep him there to realize you're still watching the quote unquote bad guys of every story ever written with goblins in it.
Yeah, you are.
So people are like, oh my God, they rape, they do this, they argue, they do. They're the bad guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, I digress because I really don't care too much about it. I do like the main character's powers, seeing his powers, but other than that, it's kind of
I will say it has one of the most it has one of the best openings out of any of the anime so far, like song wise. I think one of the best songs openings of most of the anime. So like it has a good song. I like it. I just think the anime is kind of like
it does. Except there was like Kaiju number 8 theme song.
Correct. But I think it's the same level, like basically they're trying to do reincarnated slime, but at like level 10. Here's the problem.
The bad
when reincarnated slime can still do the more aspects of like you have a character that's kind of not smart, like our purple main head character or purple girl character who in this purple suit. You have the strong type, which is Diablo. You have all these other people. It's just like you're trying to do that, but the slime does it better. Like it doesn't really work. And removes the same type of strength.
That's exactly what it's missing.
Yeah.
World building. That's exactly what it's missing.
The in-depth story.
That's what slime does so well.
Yeah, that's why slime does well because you have everybody else playing along against Rimuru. There's nobody really playing along with him.
Yeah.
Outside of the fact he does have like the girls that really like him from the human world, the human side. He has a couple of goblins.
Yeah, he's got his core unit, but we never see them.
We see him very
really in action.
Very shortly and it's in different days every once in a while.
Yeah. It's
But
very horrible world building.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let's get into The Time I Got Reincarnated Slime, episode 55. I will say this right now. This is probably the best episode of Slime we've got to date. Because it does something that I think I didn't even expect. And they do it so well where you could legitimately believe that this is all a misunderstanding. And we'll get into that because I think it's very fun how they do it. So get that up there. But in a second, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Gentlemen, you ready?
Let's go.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Episode 55, Saint and Demon Clash. I didn't know Rimuru actually wondered what move she's trying to make. I forgot she says that. Oh yeah, this is a flashback. Okay, I thought this was current, but I forgot this was a flashback. That's why the camp they show us there is.
Yeah, because remember we was wondering why they were following her, and now we know. That's one thing about Slime. They answer every question.
Oh, they do. They ultimately ask every question.
That world building, man, it's amazing.
Yes, the world's pretty amazing.
When you think about the landmass that they have shown us, it's about as big as like a Far Cry map.
This landmass is about as big as Australia, basically. That's what they kind of told us. Like, this is not tiny area.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, like, just everything. They don't leave out too many details, like from how they're making money to how people are cooking to how, like, there's no questions in the world. Like, you don't have to worry about, oh, well, do they have kings? Do they have, monarchy? Do they have a group of people that's trying to kill? Like, it's always written out for you. It makes me want to play D&D.
Yes. Yeah. Ultimately, I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago. If the game they're making for Switch does well enough, I think it'll be kind of interesting to see how it plays out. Because I would love to see a game based on this show, but I wonder if they're gonna actually do it like a RPG or something. I remember they think it was gonna be RPG.
But we said the same thing about solo leveling game.
Which was the same problem.
Do y'all like the solo leveling game? I'm sorry, I know we're in the middle of a show. But
I haven't seen. I've only seen a couple of games. Like
played it.
I've seen a couple of gameplay footage of it. It looks okay. I mean, not the greatest thing ever, but
it's garbage.
Yeah, it's very dark. It's a dark game.
It's bad. It's very bad.
So we only met.
They tried to make it too much like the anime, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. So we haven't met all the new characters from the intro yet. We've only met.
Nope.
But it's funny. Also, the seven luminaries weren't in the intro. That's one that I didn't notice about the intro. They're not shown in the intro at all. So that was just
Well, in the history of slime, they have not shown the villains in the intro.
In the intro, correct. Fresh fruit, vegetables. That is American fashion, which is kind of odd to say that in this kind of world.
Hey, let's pause for a second.
Okay.
I paused at 4:45.
Yeah, I'm at 4:45 myself. This first part's kind of interesting because I love how they would just walk into town. They're like, "Oh, these clothes are different. Oh, wait, um the that knife is different," and just like, the guy asks, "Is this Tempest is Tempest influencing that?" And she's like, "There'd be no other reason why would this be like this. The Tempest has to influence it." Just so interesting way to see how they handle it. I love the way they just showing it from her perspective too.
I mean, the fact that they are doing this that they're kind of showing you again, like saying that world building. But let's continue to
Okay.
count it off again, please.
All right. So 3, 2, 1, go.
I love how her expression changed. Like, wait a minute, that's so familiar.
Uh-huh. But it's funny. Do you notice in the ramen shot it's in Japanese and not English, which is kind of interesting.
Yes.
They have the name in. Do they know she's from the real world?
I don't think so.
Okay. Man, that food war is like man, that was amazing.
Yeah, it just made me hungry all over again.
Yep, they did a good job with that. I love the fact it's no laughing matter.
Yep. Now I want some more Chinese food. That's right. This weekend I am taking my dad to Gens.
I do love the fact that, like you said last time, the bowl has the
It has Rimu's likeness on it.
Likeness on it, which is so interesting.
Let you know that boat was made from his region.
Yes, it was. Which is actually a really cool thing. The trip is smooth. It's almost boring. That's not a good thing. You don't want to bump your ride. Even on horseback, you wouldn't want a smoother ride, I would think.
I mean, you don't want to run into any trouble either. So y'all just having a smooth ride.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You're having a smooth, easy ride. That's not a bad thing.
Might as well just be in a cart and just fall asleep.
Yeah. The way they have the sophistication to have a police force is crazy.
I mean, they just guards and they just guarding the road.
Mm-hmm. Oh, where they built the light sources for the molecules, right?
Yep. What they been in, what, episode 2 or 3?
Mm-hmm. Weren't they bigger though? I thought they were circles, right? But then they were going to change them to make them more like that.
Exactly.
Okay, so we already knew about that. It's probably a campground. You're beyond shocked that a man with You're shocked because the man is trying to do good for people.
Right. And he's actually doing good. He's actually
Doing
doing
good.
it.
Yeah.
Like everybody there is prosperous.
So 1 silver coin is worth 3 copper. Yep.
There it is.
There's the question. Watch is just the one-on-one match. So she even thinks something up about that. Why would she have a flip?
Exactly.
Well, she's Are they feeding him a bunch of lies?
They're feeding him part lies, part truth.
The part truth is the fact that she went out there.
Well, the part truth is that she is connected to the other demon lord.
Okay. But the lie is about Valdora.
The lie is that she's betraying the church.
Oh, yeah, she's not betraying church.
See, he's their insurance policy, basically.
Just in case she can't do it, he can finish them all.
Yeah, but they're also giving him orders to kill her too.
Correct.
But see, even he thinks something fishy about it, though.
You don't even believe that.
And this battle was ridiculous.
Oh, this battle was epic.
Like they literally did get outclassed in every way in this, and that's not even their top fighters.
Well, no, and that's the thing. It was their weakest group, right?
One of the weakest, yep.
And they still held their own against pretty much well-trained knights. So he's telling her that something's up when that army got out there,
Yep.
and he knows it's a 7. He thinks it's a 7-day luminaries, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they want to. So basically, they want to. Rumor want to talk.
Well, both of them want to talk, but as you see, they got instigators.
Mm-hmm. I just have to say, I love this battle because it's just the way they animated this battle.
Like I like how they actually showed them fighting and then healing themselves.
Correct. And that's the first time we see the attack hit, but it doesn't kill; it just paralyzes.
It doesn't even paralyze; it just puts them to sleep.
Well, yeah, put them to sleep, but paralyzes the body enough where they can't move.
Yeah, that's true.
Sleep drug. Oh. The upside, they didn't kill you.
Right.
I love the fact you have this like these the way they're doing this fight has like these goblins that look like Oni type fighters.
Remember, they do have those Kijin with them.
Yes, they do. They have the Kijin with them too. And the Kijin look. I love how the Kijin fight. It's just so cool.
They got that traditional Japanese armor.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he wanted to leave Shion in charge. This was kind of interesting. He left her in charge for this.
So he had to give her something to do.
Yeah, he did. Which I get why you had to give her something to do, but at the same time, he was like,
The one on the top left isn't even food; it's just a rib cage on a plate.
with some liquid on the plate. Yep. Is he using? Oh, it's a side. It's a chain with a side and a.
You know, I forget a kunai whip chain. There it is.
Yeah, kunai with chain. It looks really cool. I like how they did that. Oh. So she didn't know about this battle.
Nope.
Yeah, why are they here? I love how he said org Kijin, and she's like, no, they're Oni.
So now you nervous.
See, now that's been altered, but we don't know how.
It's a lot of stuff that we still got to figure out.
Yeah. I love the fact he Rimuru likes her, but he's like, she's a little much.
He's a loose canyon.
Yeah, she'll just do what she needs. I love how he knew that she was here, and then he just sees from a corner of his eye.
Mm-hmm. This next episode can't come fast enough. I got to see
No, this next episode's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see how they're gonna play this out.
Finally get that fight scene that we've been asking for.
So how we're going to review this? I'm going to let Chris take the reins because he's been the one I wanted to keep following this because he's a big slime fan. So Chris,
Okay,
however you want to do it.
I'm gonna keep it quick because I know we're losing time.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so with this being said, we're jumping right into the action. Okay, so in the beginning of it, we get Hinata walking and riding with her crew, and they just going through town. And they noticing like, wait a minute, everybody in this town is rather lively. And then when she they talking. Well, let's grab some lunch, some ramen spot. Bro, that I don't know about y'all, but that made me want some ramen real bad, bro. And that's so she's instantly brought on by nostalgia, which I'm sure even Deon could appreciate.
Yes.
Like the nostalgia of having a ramen from your hometown, seeing like and Brandon, like you pointed out, seeing like the dresses that were clearly modern fashion.
Yep.
So it was interesting to see. So I pause it there.
I do think too, one of her guys was like the sword or that knife was like, that knife is high quality. That knife is something you wouldn't see around here. So even he was surprised by the fact that the quality of this town was actually really strong. Even to the point, he goes, or one of her guys goes, "Oh, do you think this was Tempest doing? Do you think this was influenced by Tempest?" And she goes, "Yes, it was." I don't know. It's interesting
Well,
because they do a good job with that. I don't know how they're gonna keep that like she even figures out that this is odd, but this was working well.
right. Well, I think that the important part to remember is the thing that follows is that the four people that's with her, that they came with her as to be as her friends, her crew, the people that she must trust, and they tell her that like we're only here because you're here, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Blah blah blah. Really comrades, close friends.
Yes, they're not doing
So
it out of any orders. They're not doing it out of
right.
from
So
the
as of right
church.
now,
Yeah,
like yeah, that's the way it seems. But now they still could have gotten an idea from somebody, but we haven't seen otherwise.
correct.
And then they continue their ride. Now, as we switch to as our story starts to switch gears, this is when we start to see the plan of attack of what's going on, because we see that the 7 Day Light Church or whatever, they're sending another guy to basically honestly he got there before they did, which is kind of weird, but I hope they explain that.
Wait, so they said the trip takes 2 weeks naturally. Rumor mentions that, but
Hmm.
Honeytail got here pretty quick.
But that's what I'm saying, that the squad of men got I know they did explain that they came from another town and that they came from and it was a shorter distance, but it's like, dang, they got there really quick. Everybody got there quick.
Yes, they did. The middle section is kind of interesting because nobody really knows what's really going to go on with this. Like the luminaries have that guy go out there. He brings his whole crew with this army. They have the food at the ramen shop. They're enjoying it, and then they go on the road. And one of the guys is like, "Oh, this road is so nice. It's not bumpy, and this is a smooth ride. It's kind of boring." And it's just like, well, you don't want a bumpy ride when you're on a horseback. You're kind of like, you want that smooth, easy ride. And it's just like, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny how they're still playing with the trope of like, this is all feels wrong. And they stop at the campsite, and the campsite's like, she's like, this campsite's kind of nice, and
She's
it gets
like,
away from monsters.
well, I think the thing to remember is that she actually says it like, wait a minute, this is a campground, and then when you realize from her point of view, she's like, wait a minute, like this is supposed to be a forest full of monsters and creatures, and here it is looking like a Japanese campground.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of things that's like they're still giving hints on.
Yes, they are. They are still giving hints. I talk about this back half. The back half of this was actually kind of interesting, and I wonder how they're going to explain what's really going on. Because Hinata was really worried about the other guys being out there.
I mean, well, that's how we get on to the rest of the story. It was like, so the guys are out there and they're fighting. Now, here comes into this new force that Rimuru has, and they explained this in the earlier episodes that these teams they have regenerative powers because these were the team that he brought them back to life from. So they
Correct.
have special regenerative properties. See, that was one of those things that you learn if you pay attention by letting the show cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, so these dudes are fighting, and it's like they're giving all these crusaders a run for their money. But just to top it off, they're not killing them. They're just stabbing them with a knife that's not even poison. It just puts them to sleep. So they're not even killing their enemies. Like if that's not the biggest form of hey, I want peace, I don't know what it is.
And it's funny, Rimuru didn't want to fight really at all unless he had to. So this fight was provoked by the guys, not the goblins. In the sense that the goblins did, I think the goblins strike first, technically. That one goblin does, but like they knew they were coming. And it's funny because they were caught off guard, and then ultimately the one goblin girl goes, "Yeah, this knife is built with a thick coat of sleeping magic. Basically, we're not killing you. We're just gonna put you to sleep and tie you up." And then Hanata's face is just like, "Why are they out here? Why are these men even near me, like near this place? And what's the whole plan here?" And then she sees Rimuru and she's like, "Rimuru, what's Rimuru doing? Did he coordinate all this, or what?" And it's just it goes down a thing of like now you can see his army and see the people he has behind him, and they're not nothing. They're not pushovers. They're very strong.
And then the fact that is still their weakest. Their
Yes.
weakest.
Yes. Weakest army, and it's just like their weakest army is still pretty strong, which is beating Crusaders like Holy Knights. Like that's insane.
Like this is supposed to be y'all's mortal enemy, and y'all are losing badly.
Yeah. And then I love the ending scene where you just see after Rimuru talks to Shion and kind of Shion about to go into the battle, she kind of does her own thing at this point. You see Rimuru at the corner of his eye look and go, "Oh, you made it." And you just see him standing facing out, and then she's facing him, and just the way the contrast is so good. It's so well done. I don't know what we see next episode. I really don't. If we're gonna get that fight shouldn't be that long. I think it's gonna be like maybe 5-10 minutes, if that.
I don't. Yeah, it's gonna be a quick fight because they're probably gonna have a nice little brawl where he comes really close to killing her, and then she's gonna be like, "Wait a minute, take me prisoner."
Yeah, correct.
That's how I think that's gonna go.
Correct. What would you give this episode? Because this episode was kind of in that weird, like, very good to almost great territory.
Well, the fact that you finally gave fans some action and still gave us more story, I'm giving this episode an 8.8.
Okay, explain.
Dude, like we got everything we asked for, and they're still cooking, bro. If you
Yes,
was
sir.
at a barbecue and it's like, yeah, y'all got some good snacks out here, some hors d'oeuvres, some little smokies and meatballs, and then it's like all this whole time we've been asking for ribs and brisket and sausage, but here y'all come with like, okay, it's not exactly ribs or sausage yet, but instead of giving y'all meatballs and little smokies, okay, here comes some jalapeno poppers and stuffed jalapenos.
Okay, I get where you're going. Oh, yeah, I get where you're going. It's interesting too because I think they're slowly burning the story, but they're not just giving you all those fights right away. Those fights could be serious. If you really want to do them, you could do them within a couple hours, the first couple episodes. But no, they're really like, we're gonna take our time and get to this point where now you'll get this fight. It's gonna be short. It's not gonna be super long.
But you got your fight. You got your action.
You did get your action. So hey, I mean that's fair. I would ultimately give this like a what is it like a it's weird. I'm gonna give this like a 9. I have to go 2 more points higher than you, so you say 8.8, I go to 9. I think it gives you everything, like you say, it's slow burn. We're getting to the point where now that next episode's gonna give us, you're gonna get like you gave the food analogy, you're gonna get one of the meats you asked for right at this next episode, and then we're gonna still have everything else kind of cooking in the background for a bit.
Exactly.
I want to know what she's gonna tell her man, that guy who came. Why are you here? What happened? And he has to explain. Did the Seven say just put you up to this? What? Like why?
Yep, and then that's gonna be a whole other call. See, that is another way that this show could go. I can see that.
Because she don't know why those 3 guys are even there. Why are they there, and why they start attacking? Like, what was the point?
See,
it has the ability to make you feel like they understand how they can do a story without ultimately give you every single item on that store on that list.
I can agree with that.
But let's get into this is gonna be interesting. Kaiju number 8. Because Kaiju number 8 has a little bit of more story and action to it. And this episode is really just kind of like, okay, you now see the power of these characters.
Now, I'm going to say this now because I know he can hear us. He's just not saying nothing at the moment. I know he's busy. But if this isn't the biggest I told you show about Kaiju 8, then I don't know how big. I had to be nice about it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I was gonna be a little bit nicer with that. You're right, but also I don't blame Deon because they're still trying to figure out things. I can't say this is like they've covered everything. They haven't, no, by no means, but there's still things there that they need to cover.
Oh, most definitely. But
so you're
they
not
did
wrong.
exactly, but they did it. Everything he said, even though he came back and he admitted, but it's like, wow. Even the show came back and it's like,
yeah, we answered everything for you. Like, and like they pretty much they covered everything. So yeah, it does feel like they had to.
They definitely had to because I would have dropped the show.
Yes,
And I would have been the one saying, Deon, you're right. Deon was right.
So let's get into episode 6 of Kaiju number 8. This episode's a lot of action, but this episode has a very good story thing that we're gonna get tied into now, and how we're gonna get to a point. I think we get with Kafka as well. So in a second, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we get going. Chris, you ready?
Give me 2 seconds. It's loading up.
No worries. Take your time.
I can't take my time too much. We got people waiting.
Technology is technology, so can't rush it.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. All right, on you, buddy.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Episode 6, Operation at Daybreak. So this basically left off where they all woke up and they have to go fight this kaiju now. Basically, you're asking why your hometown, because kaiju are everywhere. Basically,
Run, kaiju everywhere.
I mean, this is an everyday thing for some town. This town like this in Japan. So it's like at this point.
Now that's sad. Now that's the sad part.
There's the name of the episode. I do like the fact each sector is labeled as a letter, so you know where you're headed.
They kind of do that in JJK a little bit too when they're in the training grounds.
Yeah, they do. They do mention it like in the drinks.
And then you know what? One Punch Man did that too.
Mm-hmm. He can't use his power. If he does, it ultimately just
Dude, it really do. How you get sick like that?
well, because he got nervous. He got too nervous and just people like you get too nervous or you get kind of like queasy about what you're about to do. You kind of have that sick feeling in your stomach.
Maybe that's just me, but I've never experienced that.
It's kind of the nervousness you would get normally, but the sickness is very uncommon. Not common for everybody. Still one of the best songs of this season.
Now that I definitely agree.
The full song isn't like the full song just hits differently because they don't. It's only the part of the song for this.
I'm pretty sure, like maybe next episode or the episode after that, we'll probably get a full.
We'll get the full version because they're gonna have to do it eventually. Every anime's done it so far this season.
Yep.
And this is the first time we get to see the monster be fighting in this episode. So basically, evacuate to a mall, and you're just gonna sit there until they clean this up.
I mean, what else can you do?
That's true, but I also feel like I hope they pay for your house.
Man, I hope you got insurance.
That's true. That's also true. I hope you got insurance, and then the insurance paid for everything that's going to happen to your house or building.
Right? Does your insurance cover kaiju attacks, or does it? Or they'll be really specific, like, well, he just bumped up to it. He didn't actually step on it. But like, what really?
So basically, why would you put the rookies in the back? Because it doesn't really make sense to put them in the back, knowing the fact that they keep growing.
At this point, they didn't know that they were. They just thought they were, rookies. No, these are some come to challenge your rival spot type of rookie.
Yeah, we get that a little bit later with that one dude.
Them, though. They want to see how good these rookies actually are.
Yep.
Exactly, and then you put them in the back so you make sure they don't die first.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised, Deon, you didn't answer Chris's comment earlier when he called you out
Oh, what'd he say? I
about the
missed
fact
it.
that you're wrong about the show because the show answered every question after the episode 4.
Wait, about Kaiju?
Well, you thought this was kind of the story was kind of weird, but it answered everything about like the fortitude, the 9.8, that kind of stuff.
Oh no, it's still extremely weird, and at the end of this show, you'll see why. It's still like it may have answered a question, but it still was like, all right, bro, what are we doing with this scene and that scene that was big in episode 2 and 3, and then immediately weak this episode. Like for one, the first episode, my man's can go up against a kaiju with a lead pipe, got all type of speed and strength, but all of a sudden now when he's supposed to have it, he's weak.
Well, he's supposed to try.
He's
trying. I mean, he's trying to keep his kaiju form from being shown because he knows if he gets shown, he's gonna die.
Hey, he was a human without a kaiju form going up against kaijus with a lead pipe, with a rebar pipe, and was holding his own. Now he can't even run.
True.
He was jumping through buildings, and now he can't even run.
He was climbing down the building earlier. We just saw he was climbing down the building.
Right? You can't. What?
He couldn't jump off
because he have a suit that enhances your normal stuff. Make it make sense.
Oh, nice.
Just give him another episode or two. They'll got you.
That's my thing. Like, why do I have to wait till mid-season to find out an answer to the very first question that has nothing to do with the actual storyline?
Yeah.
Because it's probably plot.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it might be plot.
I don't know. It could be. I don't know if he actually walked normally, and then maybe his kaiju form will bust out. But we don't know because all we know is he can control his kaiju form. We don't know how, when it happened. But you know,
he loses 1% combo power. He gets tossed around like a bola.
How does he grow 1%, but he still can't? Yeah, I like the show, but I gotta turn my brain off to watch it.
Wait. You actually think you gotta turn your brain? Okay, all right. And I said that for a bunch of MASH. We'll get all right.
MASH, you just need to not have a brain.
Yeah, MASH, you gotta throw your brain out. You can't just turn it off. You gotta take it out. This you can at least think some because it does have some decent plot.
By the way, these ain't normal kids. These kids can probably go against you easily.
Yeah, but you'll see what happens.
You're blushing.
It's awesome. I like how they make them still human.
I have a question for both of y'all. The faces of the actual human characters, what do you think about them?
It's giving me Assassination Classroom vibe.
And I say you're giving me not Assassination Classroom, but a Fire Force vibes.
Okay. It's weird. Somebody I follow on YouTube mentioned the fact like the character faces look weird. I'm like, they look pretty normal. Except when they do like certain animations, it's like, okay, they're not normal human faces.
No, it's like they're trying to make them stand out more.
Yes,
so that we know that they have a point to be there. But they already do that with hair color, so it's the typical anime trope. But I'm so used to this anime having a bunch of stuff in it that's like not necessary. So I just looked that over.
This is so weird that she equals them. I'm like, why?
You know what? Out of all the shows that's had like a pervy sage type of character, I'm glad to see a cougar. I'm actually happy to see a cougar.
I don't mind it. It just feels odd because it's just like they're in a combat force, not a not in a way it's like yeah.
I would willing to bet that happens in real life though.
It probably does. It probably does. And that's what makes things to go dig into that kaiju or yoju. Yeah. And he found the core. Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing. You need somebody who knows their inner workings, and he's doing it through his brain, not with guns.
Which was part of the plot and story.
Yes, it is. It is part of the plot and story.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, she has a weapon that we haven't seen yet.
Oh, that looking like that little botan thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that botan thing. Deon, when this gun that she's holding looks like something out of Doom. It's the BFG.
Yeah, I really like that. It's got like a rail jack, like rail gun look to it.
Yeah, there's no way she'll be able to lift this up without the combat power she has. I think it looks heavy.
With 96%
That
power, I think
95, what is it, 90? Yeah.
she can handle.
He's a beast in that stuff. and multiple shots.
She took like 5 shots back to back to back. It was kind of insane.
Like they're like, man, wow, he's down. Nah, keep going.
There's more. I love Ichikawa's face. Ichikawa's face is like,
Oh shit!
what did I just see?
But this part I did like when Vice Captain stepped up. It made me like him. He's like now my favorite character of the show.
Then she goes, here's third round, ready to fire. I love how the lady's like, clear the fire. Why? It's like, wait, what?
Cause she knew you had to get as much
Give
of
the
it.
orders.
Only because you can't let the eggs reproduce. If the eggs came out, they would have more homes unifier. So you're making sure you knock it down. No, I'm not. I love the fact he just barely unsheaths that knife and he goes, just cuts it up. No questions asked.
That is a classic anime thing.
That is an anime trope. That's a huge anime trope that's been around for a long time.
This makes him my favorite character right now.
Honestly, that it was the coolest scene that I have ever seen this show do right now.
Absolutely. And that's coming after a cold scene with the railgun.
Yep.
Yep.
It's all the eggs. Correct. They're about to be grown. I love the fact they make this look like something that aliens. You just have all these things coming after you. And more on their back, too. That way she did that, she was like, you can sit back or you can keep fighting. And she kind of gave him that like, I hope you do keep fighting. You're very impressive. Like, okay, you manipulated those two boys too easily. Percent. Uh-huh. Correct. What? And as they're running, we get the most creepiest scene in this episode, probably.
Now it was at this scene where they kind of gave me JJK vibes,
Oh yeah, huge. Okay.
and maybe a little bit of Parasite. Yeah.
Here's the thing with this episode. Now, I'm gonna do this episode quick because I can do it very quickly. Yeah, they answered a couple questions. This fight scene was kind of really good, but the ending thing is the big thing about this episode. And the fact of the matter is, this story continues, and they're doing the thing where he's trying to find out who's the reason why he can't keep these monsters alive. So I'll start off with this beginning part. This beginning part, we kick off where we left off, and basically, they say we need to do this operation. We need to neutralize this monster before it gets worse. So there's this operation neutralize. I forget the monster name. She says it in the show. The captain does, and they go out there. Kafka's kind of nervous. He throws up in the van. He's about to throw up in the van. And once they finally got there, the mission thing is: here's the big thing. You have to do. Y'all have to just keep the little guys away, so the captain can take out the big thing. And everybody's jumping off the building. Kafka doesn't only jump off the building. He tries to climb down the building, which is even more crazy. And he kind of is not really much of a help, but everybody else is outshining the veterans of this group. And then ultimately, the last thing we really see before we get to the middle half of this is that Kafka finds I can help them some way. How can I help them? So he runs over and looks at one of the Kaiju, and then the guy's like, "What's he doing?" And he cuts one open. I'm gonna start for Chris for this. Chris, what do you think about this first half? This first half was just fun.
Bro, this first half was good fun because I liked it how the new kids always got to show up to save the old folks. Because that's exactly what it looked like. Because I mean, dude, but I mean, my man Copter go, bro, your stomach can't be that weak though. Like seriously, bro, seriously.
But see, like I said, people get very nervous at times for certain situations, and that's not an uncommon thing. The throwing up part's pretty rare because you don't throw up when you're that nervous, depending on the person. But being that nervous is a thing because you have butterflies in your stomach, the old saying. So that's why that's there. Deon, I'm going to ask you this. You're the most critical of the show. What was your what's your first impression of this first half of this episode?
Honestly, I felt like they were pushing too hard to make Kafka weak.
Okay.
And that's just because they're trying to sell this. He's no good to the team, and maybe in the future he's gonna grow and be strong. But it's like they're making him too weak. Because, like Chris said, why is your stomach that weak? Like, bro, you had the most, and I've said this before, and I'll probably say it again. You've had the most experience out of everybody here. You even made fun of somebody before for getting sick, dealing with Kaiju and all of this stuff. A ride did not make you feel this way. The nerves of going out into this Kaiju battle, and you've already had 3 or 4 of them, did not make you feel this way.
Okay.
Like, it's just I'm not understanding why they're doing so much to make him be so bad. He's climbing down the and I mentioned this already earlier. He's climbing down the wall. Like, bro is literally jumping through buildings. And you can't jump off a wall with this super powered suit on?
Okay. Hey, here's the thing.
Like you can just transform your arm to lift the car, but not your legs to land or something. Like it's...
I will say, I told Deon to be critical, and he's been very critical. So I got to give the man credit. Here's the thing: I can't disagree with everything because the man used to work in disposal. He had to work on the intestines of the animals in some of the kaiju before. He didn't like do it, but he was efficient, even though he did have a weak stomach. Everything you're saying, you're right, Deon. Everything you're saying so far, you're right. Ultimately, it feels kind of odd, but they're trying to keep him human. They're not trying to have his kaiju form be his main thing, because if we just kept to his kaiju form, he would be OP. That's the problem. But he want to do it on his own merit.
I get that. But he was still a better human before he even got his kaiju form than they're making him out to be now.
Correct. But against everybody else, he's 30-some years old and weak as all get out. So
yeah, it's like now you're trying to make him this middle-aged man who can't even like do anything. Bro, when we first seen Kafka, he was a beast in his field. He was one of the best disposal workers out there. Then we see him fight a kaiju without hesitation to save one of his employees. And now he can't even ride into battle?
Yeah. You're not wrong.
We've seen him overcome so much as a human. No need for kaiju powers, and now all of a sudden he's like, they just keep trying to make him weak, and I don't like that at all.
Let's get to the second part. The second part basically deals with the fact they start fighting off the Hanju. They kill a couple, and then Kafka finds out within this that the Hanju have their core within their hardened part of their body, this hard part of the body, which is hard to get to. And he tells the vice captain this, but he also tells the vice captain they have reproductive organs. These organs are in the back. We have to get rid of those, and then they will be down for good. And ultimately, vice captain praises him for it. The lady in the lab says, "Go and tells the lady in the lab, go and tell everybody else." Then ultimately, we get the scene that I think is the point that this show goes, okay, well, we gave you some little story. Here's the thing that's kind of cool. The captain pulls out this giant gun. Like I said in the show, it looks like the gun out of Doom. It's basically the BFG. Or like Deon said, a railgun. And she just takes 3 good shots back to back to back and literally knocks this giant thing down. And then she takes one more for good measure. And the lady in the lab's like, really? It's already down. It's not. And she's like, give the order. She does, and she gives the order. She just, again, we don't see the 5th one when she gives the order. We just see the 5th shot go off. And it's just like, oh, why is she taking this down? Oh, because they're all growing within the body. And then the kids are like, everybody's like, so the vice captain goes to the rest of them, hey, this is the second part of this mission. We have to clear the rest of these out. Then we can get back to the base before breakfast. And it's just like, they're like, this is another mission entirely. One of the green hair guy goes, and it's like, this is any possible? Ultimately, the platoon captain that's been like kind of like liking these rookies, she kind of gets close to 2 of the rookies, the guy that's in the military and the other dude, and basically goes, hey, if you want to lay back a little bit, y'all can go and we can handle this. And she kind of butters them up for a bit, and then they just go out there and do their thing. And then I'm going to finish the rest out because basically from this point on, we see Himeno or Ichikawa take down a couple. The red-haired guy's like, I've been training this for 5 years in technical school, and this guy's beating me. How? What do I have that he doesn't have? And then Ichikawa sees him and says, we need to get going. We need to go over here. Ultimately, what this leads to is Ichikawa and the red-haired guy seeing the guy that can transform to a kaiju, and he goes, how did I gave these things like these where they can reproduce, and yet they've been taken down. How? And Ichikawa knows it's from the disposal company. They're like, why are you out here? You're not ready to be out here. And he's like, do you know the person who did this? And you see the little boil on his, like the little like kaiju thing on his face kind of grow up. And that's how the episode ends. Deon, what do you think about this back half? Because the back half was kind of interesting with how the captain took down the kaiju and everything else. What do you think about the little cliffhanger with the other guy that's in the disposal that's like kaiju as well?
Man, this part of the episode left me very confused, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about it because I like a lot about this part, but it makes me not like things that didn't happen in this part. I'll give an example. For one, I like Ren. I really do like him. His character, his growth. I'm liking that. I like how they're making the new cadets still human. Like, yeah, they're tough cadets, but they're still cadets. Like,
Yeah.
they're strong, but they ain't got the everything that these vets got. Stamina and all of that. So it's like, this keep grounding them. But then it makes me be like, well, why can't you just do that with Kafka? Like he can make him still normal and be able to be who he was in episode 1 and be like, oh, he can run, but he still ain't got as much stamina as these young guys and stuff like that. But I digress. I'll sit on that pedestal for a while. But the cliffhanger, this was unexpected this soon. And it was unexpected to see who seen him first. I thought it might have been Kafka, and he would keep it under wraps because he's a kaiju too, and he's trying to figure out what's going on or whatever. That's my big brain, right? So this was a very interesting way to introduce him to the, I guess, the ministry. I don't even know what we're calling them right now, but the cadets.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm interested in seeing what happens next because now you know.
Mm-hmm.
Or are they going to play it off some type of way?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Chris, what do you think about this back half? So basically, once the captain gets the gun to the ending and does all of that.
Yeah, so the small frame girl with a big gun. Something about that.
Yeah.
But I digress. It was like watching this, you like our captain has done everything for a reason. So with that being said, when she kept shooting, okay, she's doing this for a reason, and then when you see all these things spawn, it's like, yeah, that's why she kept shooting. And should she stop shooting? Nah, I would have probably shot a crater in the ground if I could.
Yeah. Put at least one more in them.
You know what I'm saying? So then comes this swarm and everybody's going ham. And just like you were saying, I like Ren. Ren right now, Ren is my favorite character because he's one that toughs out. He just toughs out. He just does what needs to be done. That is my dude. So
he's got his back, man. I love that about him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got Kafka's back to the T. I love that.
Yeah. So at this end where this we see our main villain come up, it's like the first thing I want to tell my people is run because it looked like he finna kill one of them.
They are setting up, and they set up this last episode, Deon, if you didn't watch it. They set up a lot of death flags, and they've set a couple up. In the sense, when I say death flags, they set up characters that are pretty much going either set to die.
They set up characters to die.
Yeah.
They set up a couple of characters to die. And even when the vice captain says last episode, don't get attached to these people because you know they're gonna die. This line of work, people do die. So I don't see Ichikawa dying, and if they end up fighting that kaiju, I can see the red dude getting hurt. Yep. But even then, that's gonna be interesting because if they do that, how do you explain to the rest of the group what I saw?
Easily.
Yeah.
I saw this. Go kill it.
This is my thing with that, right? And I know, like I said, I'm gonna live on this mountain peak for a while. With Kafka being so weak and trying to hide his form, there's gonna have to be a major turning point to push him to be the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that Ren dying?
if the red-haired guy
You see what I'm
dies,
saying? You see where I'm going with this?
if the red-haired guy gets close to death, yes, I can see him turning into Kaiju, fighting off the other Kaiju for a bit,
But
and then transporting back, just so he doesn't get
is that enough to turn Kafka into Superman?
No, I
I
think
it has to be somebody close to him.
The only one close enough to him is each
We
Coward.
almost seen it. With the blonde-haired girl.
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
We did.
Who's closer to him than her? Only two people. You take one of them out, we get our Superman.
Yeah, we do. So before I end this podcast, I'm gonna ask the gentleman this: what would you give Deon Kaiju number 8, episode 6 for a rating?
6.7.
Ooh, explain.
It's higher than I want to, but I did like a lot of good scenes in it. Like with the vice captain, I mean, that was enough for me right there just to be able to see, okay, yeah, he deserves to be vice captain. Then you gave me a good scene with Kafka where you allow him to get back to his roots and get his confidence up a little bit and actually show that he's not this little weakling, sniveling, and running in everybody's shadow. Like, I don't believe he should be anyway. So you let him do his thing and then show everybody like, oh, okay, he's got some worth. I love that part. The only thing I would have liked to see more of in this episode is the dang on tiger, man. Bring him back. Let me see the tiger. You get better ratings.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep. The Captain's Tiger. Chris, what would you give Kaiju number 8 as a rating, episode 6?
Man, so I'm really surprised by Deon's rating. What did you give it? A 6.7? Did I hear that right? Wow. Because I was thinking of 6.6.
See, I gave it a 6.7, but it had nothing to do with the story. If I was basing this off of the story or the plot line, it would be like a 4.
Because I'm looking at it.
I gotta watch this with my brain on.
So
I'm looking at it.
I'm watching this as, okay, I see the points that you're making, but I can't. The reason just like I was telling Brendan, I can't give. You will never see me give a show a perfect 10 in the middle of the season. I'm rating it episode by episode. So with that being said, I gave it a 6.6 only because they did do a lot of things right. And just like you said, they did answer questions, but they still left cliffhangers. Now, these cliffhangers that they're leaving, I do like, but see, so I don't want them to be too much like Hell's Paradise and like just give us crumbs just to give us a pie at the end.
The last episode,
Yeah. Like, like, don't let it be one of those episodes where you answer everything at the end, but you also give us the biggest 180 in history. Like, really? You give us the answer just to start a whole new mystery? No. Yeah.
I agree with both of y'all, and this is going to be interesting for me. I would have to give this like a 6.4. So I'm right within y'all's range.
Lower than both of us.
Yeah. I think the thing is, I agree with both of y'all. The action and the way they're doing some of the stuff around the characters are great. I don't want to, and I agree with Chris more for this part. I don't think I want to see the cliffhangers as much. The cliffhanger of you just give a little bit of answers, leave us with answers for every episode, or leave us with questions for every episode. Because like they did with Hell's Paradise, they left the last episode was like you say, a pie, basically threw everything at us, and it wasn't the last episode. It was like the fourth to the last episode, basically, where they gave us all the answers. Every single answer was answered in that episode. Is like, wow, you gave us everything.
Let's see. I'm sorry, Brandon. I gotta cut you off, man.
Go ahead.
I have to. because I got to make a point here before you get to your good point. Since episode 1, I've been saying that that's what's wrong with this show. The cliffhangers and the unanswered questions. The moment I stop rating it based off of that is y'all two both start rating it off of that.
Because we're that far in the season. We're that far in the season.
Yes, I usually don't mind cliffhangers far in the season if it's for good reason. Here, it's going to get to a point where it's not going to make sense anymore.
But see, I knew it was going to happen from the first episode. I seen these type of things happen so many times. I can pick up on this pattern.
And you are absolutely right, but I still
funny
give
to
it
me.
the benefit of the doubt because of that. I still give it the benefit of the doubt.
It was just funny because it's like the first episode. I was like, I'm gonna not care about the plot holes, and I'm gonna just rate it off of the aesthetics. And then you both go in on the plot.
There's only two big plot holes.
That was just funny to me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. I agree with that. Y'all can do that to me a lot because I know y'all can see other things. The two big plot holes I can see in this, the kaiju that's doing all the stuff in the background, we haven't really got much about him. We're gonna get that later. I know we're gonna get that later, so that's not something I'm worried about. The Kafka thing is interesting because in previous episodes they've said that he wanted to do this on his own merit, and knowing the fact that the blonde-haired girl knows, and the fact that she said if he does transform inside the Defense Force, he's done for. So he's trying to stay low. I think the other thing is we're going to have to see where that takes us next couple episodes. Because he can't stay low forever. We know that. But at the same time, I'm giving you the benefit of doubt until he has to come up to a fight. Once he does that, we're cool. It's an interesting story. It's an interesting show because... Go ahead.
I was just saying, you notice that this is the first episode since Kaiju number 8 we got without Kaiju number 8?
Yes. This is one of the few episodes where he doesn't transform, technically.
At all, yeah.
Yes. So I want to know what y'all think in the comments because basically, I think with this show, I think somebody said the manga's only 135 chapters in. So the story still being written. And this first arc is basically based on the kaiju we've seen in the white uniform. So that's their main villain, like Chris mentioned. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to next episode. I hope they give us more story stuff. We'll see what ends up happening. I think he turns next episode because he has to help defeat all these kaiju, or one of the boys gets hurt trying to fight that other dude. We'll see. But we'll be back next week. There'll be episode 58 of the Anime Dojo. That'll be episode 7 of Kaiju number 8 and episode 56 of Reincarnated Slime. This was going to be a pretty long one because we talked about some stuff in the beginning, but I hope you enjoy it because we like to kind of go off tangents and stuff, which is actually really fun. We'll see where Kaiju ends up. I think we'll really know by 7 or 8 where Kaiju really ends up at the show because it's only going to be 12 episodes, so that's going to really tell you everything. But this will go up on Spotify after it processes, and it'll be up on YouTube on Thursday. I do think these gentlemen joining me, and I hope you enjoyed. Hope you're here for next time. See you.
Later, dudes.
Peace.